Everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have another book review today. This one is a little bit more on the serious note. I was hesitant to read this book because I am the type of person that when I read a lot of negative stories in fiction or nonfiction, I tend to become semi-depressed, or it kind of tends to bring me down a bit. So I try to avoid really negative or depressing stories, but I really wanted to read this story, first of all because it was true. It was a true story. It actually happened. I wanted to read it because I wanted to learn from it, and I wanted to see how that person is now going on with their life after so much trauma has been done to their life. And if you haven't guessed it, it's it's the My Story by Elizabeth Smart. If you guys don't know or recognize who this woman is, she was the 14-year-old girl who was kidnapped from her own bedroom back in June of 2002. She's a year older than me, and I wanted to read her story because also she was close in my age, and to even think of something so horrendous happen to a person my age as it happened to her is just very scary and very, I guess you could say, curious to see how she dealt through it. So I'm going to warn you right now, if you are interested in reading her story, she does not leave anything out. It is very graphic. She tells it how it is, how she experienced it. It is not a type of story for just anyone. If you are someone who is a very paranoid person, you could either take it as a negative or take it as a positive by reading her book. I think I learned a lot from this story. I learned that, in the safety of her own bedroom, she was taken. That was because, her parents left a window open, or a sliding door open, whichever it was. So little things like that just kind of make you think twice, just in general in life. And a lot of people always get scared of children going missing from the park, from the amusement parks, from the park down your street. This particular story was basically she was sleeping in her own bed with the rest of her family, was in the house sleeping, and a man came and took her from her bed. I don't want to get into detail of the book because it's not my story to tell, and I'm grateful for that. But if you are interested in reading about her story, because I'm sure everybody heard about her story on the news when she was first taken and people were trying to find her, then I would definitely go pick this up and take a read for yourself. But I have to warn you that it is quite graphic. She doesn't hold back onto anything. She does give a lot of detail. So be prepared, or prepare yourself before you start reading it. In the end, she was found, as we all know, and now she's a married woman and she does a lot of charity work. So I guess the story ends well, but if you want to see how she got to that point, then definitely check her book out. I was so intrigued by her story that it just took me a week to read. It was like 300 and something pages. It took me a week, almost less than a week, to read, because I was so intrigued I could not put it down. I had to, keep going through the pages to see what happened. I mean, I knew she was found because we all knew she had been found from the news, the media at the time, but I never really knew what she experienced while she was taken. Just the basics, that she was tortured and raped, but she definitely goes into detail of what she had to deal with for the 9 months that she was missing and she was with these horrible people. And then finally, at the end of the book, it tells you what happened to the two evil people who took her and what she is doing now, at this point of her life. So I think it's a definite good story to read, nonfiction, if you are an adult. Some teenagers may be able to read this to give them some sort of lesson onto just a life lesson in general. She does talk a lot about God in her own beliefs because she is a Mormon, but she also does talk about faith and hope and just believing in the greater good. So I think that this would be a good book for not young adults, but like if you're in your 20s to 30s, even if you're older, it is a good book, but I would say your 20s to 30s. If you read this between your 20s and 30s, it'll make you really appreciate what you have and not, I don't even know what's the word, and not take for granted of what you have. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. This story will definitely show you the appreciations you have in your life, and not take for granted things that you have in your life. So definitely worth a shot to read. I wouldn't suggest this for young teenagers. However, if you do have troubled teenagers at home, or you have teenagers who are giving you some issues, maybe they need to read this, because this would kind of put everything in perspective, since this young lady had quite a lot to deal with at such a young age, and she had to grow up quickly because of it. So definitely a learn lesson story that would be good for pretty much anyone, but even if you are in your teenage years, you could possibly read this and learn from her story. So that was my basic review. I don't get too in-depth with reviews on books, because I don't want to kind of give it all away. I just kind of give you a brief review of what I thought of it, kind of giving you an outline of the actual book, what it could talk about, maybe the type of content there is, but that's pretty much what I'm going to give you, because I don't want to give it all away. All I have to say is, if you do read this, just prepare yourself, because it is quite graphic. Other than that, that's all I have to say, and I hope you guys enjoy my once-in-a-while book reviews. If you have any questions, or you have any suggestions on next books I should read, please leave them down below. I'd be happy to see your suggestions and pick out of your suggestions my next book. I might be reading another one shortly that is a fictional novel. I need to take a break from the actual non-fictional stuff right now, because it's pretty intense. So I will definitely be doing a fictional novel next, and then maybe we'll go back to the non-fictional stuff shortly, because I have one more book that's non-fictional that I'd like to read as well. So yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed my short, quick review, and until next time, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!